So here is what's going on this week on Fabricate Your Own Engine Mounts. So you see where the red one is? See where where the transmission is bolted in. That's blocking it from being seated, which makes the engine ride wonky back. So we need to cut some of that metal away so we can get the motor to sit in the mounts properly. Hard to see it. Okay, some material. The mounts are. Be real careful what I do.
What's hard to see here and in the video is on the transmission and the engine block where it meets up, there's a beveled edge that sticks out, and it's about like a 1/4 inch, which is resting on top of the mounts as they sit now, and that's what's preventing the motor from seating itself further down where it needs to align with the shaft.
So this is what I'm talking about, because the transmission sits right where those marks are. I need to chop that out so I can seat the motor down all the way. Didn't foresee that when I was doing it in the cardboard, because the cardboard just, it's cardboard. So these little things like this are annoying. But we're almost there. Almost lower it down, cinch it in. Okay, so here we are again on this installment of working on this old boat. So as you can see, I took some huge chunks of the metal out.
Yes, working with power tools can be a real grind. To all you ocean Nazis out there, I took the guard off the grinder so I can see the lines I'm cutting. To all the haters on my PPE, eat me.
So as you can see, I took some huge chunks of the metal out there so I can get the rest of the block and transmission seated into this mount here that's really just way too wide for this particular motor. So as you can see, I've come through that with some metal, and I got to dive back into some of my welding skills. But other than that, let's start getting to work.
This is what they refer to as boat yoga, but in this case it's boat calisthenics. But as you can see, it's not as simple as just popping a hood. You got to get in and around, up and down. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but yep, we make our way.
So as you can see here, this is where the mounts will ride. So I'm going to have to use some 5200 here to permanently seal it in on that block down there, and then seat it back in with the bolts. But what's really going on here is these two have to align and meet, otherwise you're putting some torsional metal strain on the shaft. And as it goes out the back of the boat, you see it's just fiberglass in there. So if this thing's going wonky up and down all around, that can drive a hole where this runs outside the boat. So this essentially becomes a giant water hose filling the boat up with seawater until it sinks into the ocean and you're lost at sea. So that's why this stuff's important, and that's why I'm taking the time it's taken. So everything back here seems to be going well for the most part. So as you can see, the mounts are back in their position. So why all this makes the difference is this right here, this shaft. It should be able to. Here's the shaft that goes out the boat, and then here's the transmission here, where this will be coupled to the shaft coupling, and then this will move. So see how this spins? So that's why the alignment's important. And we're kind of in there in tolerance. It's kind of a miracle, really, that this is in tolerance. And says it spins freely. So if I was to simply bolt this up to the 2 bolts here, I'm pretty sure this would spin the shaft, no problem. But what we're gotta do is, you see this gappage here? We gotta push the motor back until it aligns. We get rid of some of this gapping here, so it's nice and properly fitted. And then so that's gonna involve coming in here and see these nuts. We raise these feet up or down, which again transfers to back here, which moves this up or down.
I had a good buddy of mine drop an animation that helps explain some of this here from a 2D perspective. But yeah, this is what we're trying to do here overall.
So you see here, this is what I'm talking about. So these go up or down depending on tightening or loosening these bolts. You see how it's kind of lopsided? So we're gonna have to come here, spend like an entire weekend fighting with this thing to get it in there nice and aligned. And then we're gonna mark our holes in our metal plates that we mounted here and here. And we're gonna cinch this up to this 3/16, which I think is enough for this. This is a light motor, so 3/16 should be enough. And 5200 here, and screwed into the wood that's left. So hoping that works. And then in the back, as mentioned, same thing back there. So we're gonna have to come back here with some wrenches and make this nice and pretty. So as you can tell, how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. That's exactly what we're doing here with this motor installed. It's taken a lot longer than originally anticipated, but life gets in the way that way. And when you're doing everything yourself, throwing 2 hands, A, it's rewarding. B, it takes a little bit longer, but as they always say, time is money. So savings here on all the work myself and doing everything myself, been able to kind of keep this thing real cheap. So thinking you can't do it, you totally can. You just got to put your mind to it, save up, do things little bits at a time here. The way this motor's being installed here is obviously the motor's too narrow for the engine saddle. So there's a number of ways to come through that. I decided to just use some 3/16 steel cut to shape to make some motor mounts to where they would be able to get some bites into the footing for the motor feet, so I could be able to bolt onto something. So we did that. A couple of the designs that I came up with originally have changed, only because when you're working with cardboard, obviously the motor's going to flex and bend the cardboard, so you're not really able to gauge the spacing correctly. So that's what ended up happening here. In the original design I put the mock-ups in there and was able to get my dimensions right. So doing all the fit testings, it allowed me to come in here and actually see where I needed to make the shape for the engine mounts. Wasn't able to do that unless I was coming here to do it. So that's kind of the story here. Moral of the story is, get out there and do the things. Watching people do it on YouTube, it's fun and all, but you can do it too. You just got to get up there and get to it. Put the tools to work, get these things out of your pockets. When it comes to torque some wrenches. But overall, I'm happy with the progress that's going along here. It's my little touch to the boat. This M18 came off from Catalina 30 somewhere, It's now going into a 27, which I found surprising with the engine saddle being wider. So I'm not quite sure, but the original motor was the Lister Petter that I bought the boat with, and that was only a 6.5 horsepower European diesel, aluminum block piece of metal. So I pulled that out here. The M18 here is going to give me a good 20 horsepower. To be more than enough to turn the shaft on this tiny little boat, and then some. In fact, I might even get a 4-blade prop compared to the two-blade prop I got now, just so I can get a little bit more efficiency out of the shaft, so I'm not burning up so much fuel to turn the shaft around. But I'll save a lot of gas, honestly. But realistically here, this thing is perfect in terms of the fit inside the engine bay. Where I was really struggling with was where the engine saddle was placed for the factory motor, which I don't suspect this boat had the factory motor in it. I think that went somewhere else. Somebody threw in this old European Lister Petter motor. Can't find parts for it, and it only has 6.5 horsepower. And why would I use that? I would rather just use the 10 horsepower outboard that we're using. As a matter of fact, once this diesel is up and running, I'll be able to bolt it in and secure it so that way it's not rocking about the boat, and then I'll be able to put the outboard back on and actually take this thing out in the water again and try to bag and go fishing and stuff. But I'm looking forward to that. We're really close. As I open up the video with how do you eat an elephant, it's obviously one bite at a time. It's exactly what we're doing here. So we're taking little chunks here and there, do what we can, but I'm hoping to have this motor started in the next few months, so stay tuned for that. If you like what you see here, obviously don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the thumb button there. And what else did they do? That's about it.